In November 2005, TV presenter Ben Fogle and Olympic gold medalist James Cracknell set out on one of the world's toughest challenges, to row 3,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean.
Are we crazy? Half the stuff's outside, being swept overboard.
They would face the worst weather the Atlantic could throw at them.
We've come too far to go back.
Their only protection, a tiny 24-foot rowing boat. The crossing would take 2 months and see Ben and James pushed to their absolute limits.
We're gasping.
Lack of food, lack of sleep.
We follow their epic voyage with exclusive footage that captures their life-changing journey.
Antigua, here we come!
As they go through hell and high water. Ben Fogle and James Cracknell are nearing the finish of the 2005 Atlantic rowing race. This year's race has proved to be the most traumatic in the Challenger's history. Since the start, there have been tropical storms, hurricanes, and a record number of dramatic rescues. So far, 5 boats have been capsized and retired from the competition. Ben and James have suffered life-threatening dehydration, hunger, and serious problems with their water maker, the most important piece of kit on their boat. This, their only source of water, is vital for survival when you're rowing night and day in temperatures of 40 degrees centigrade. The grueling schedule is particularly tough for Ben, who is under the constantly watchful eyes of Olympic gold medalist James Cracknell.
You know, when you wake up in the morning and James says, right, today I don't want you to be able to say more than 1 word while you're on the oars. He said that's the sport's way of knowing that you're pulling the oars hard enough. You should be out of breath enough that you can only say 1 word at a time. Imagine 8 weeks I've had that. Not sweating enough.
On the morning of their 42nd day at sea, and with over 700 miles still to go, disaster struck as Ben rowed into Tropical Storm Zeta.
We'd been rowing for so many weeks and months. You could tell that it was not a normal wave.
James.
Just a mountain of water came over the boat. I was on the oars, and I just saw this massive tower.
My face pressed against the glass window, which is on the top of the cabin, and all I could see is sort of dark water, and then all I can hear behind is water gushing into the door of the cabin behind me.
Just remember being underwater under the boat. 20 seconds, 30 seconds, just not being totally disorientated, not knowing where I was.
Grab the throwing line and I'm just going, Ben!
And there I was about 100 feet away from the water. There was kind of debris, is the way I describe it, around me, as in anything on deck had just been ripped off.
Their 24-foot boat was engulfed with seawater, destroying all the onboard electrics, one of 2 satellite phones, their vital navigation system, and many personal effects. They were left in a perilous and terrifying situation.
I'm going to try and pack everything up and get going and getting warm as soon as possible. It's a nightmare, but very scary, and Ben's very shaken.
Because he was so normal about, OK, so we flipped and we've lost lots of equipment and we're going to be out of communications till we get to Antigua. It was, don't care, come on, let's get rowing so we don't lose our position. And, you know, that's amazing that he was able to do that, because I was in serious shock.
They managed to make one call to a friend to inform him of their desperate plight.
And Ben shouts from the other end, don't tell our families, you know, we'll tell them.
And then the phone stops working.
So all we knew is we had 700 miles to go. We had very few electrics working, no GPS working.
Little did they know, this desperate news had already reached their families.
And I genuinely know what it means now when they say your heart sinks. It was a terrifying moment of, oh my God.
My main worry was that the power had gone and that their desalinator wasn't going to work if they hadn't got any power. But we just didn't hear from them.
We were worried that the support yachts are miles away. We're a long way from a shipping lane. Or at least we couldn't get hit by a ship, which is good, but we also couldn't get rescued by ones.
In most scenarios, if it all gets too much or if things happen, then you call up and someone can come and rescue you and get you. But there was no way of doing that. While I thought the end of the world had come and that was it, and the race was over, and I just wanted to get home and I wanted to be as far from that ocean as possible.
The nightmare of the capsize has also caught up with James. His wife Bev gave him 2 letters for the journey, one for Christmas and one for a moment when things hit rock bottom.
I said to him, this is going in an envelope. You only open it when you're at your very, very, very lowest ebb. This has to be the moment when you want to get off that boat and go home, right in the middle of the race.
Got a letter from Bev, a low point letter, to open at the lowest point. I've been through some pretty dark points since we've started this, and I think today I'm going to open it. If you open this letter, you must be feeling pretty desperate. It's hardly surprising given what an amazing adventure you have embarked upon and how many people fail to complete it. The most important thing is that you finish the race. I've always said that it is irrelevant whether you win or not. I know how much you would like to, but I hope it just isn't driven you mad just finishing it. Just finish it, baby. Call me baby if you need to talk, no matter what time it is. I'm sure the notion is following your progress eagerly. I'm making everybody proud to get your sexy ass to Antigua. We're waiting for a big cut. No matter how bad things are normally in life, you can leave it behind and go somewhere else. And we couldn't do that. We just couldn't leave it behind for any second of the day. It was always there.
Stuck hundreds of miles from land and with no communication with the outside world, Ben is tormented by not being able to speak to his loved ones.
I'm so worried about everyone not knowing whether we're well and safe or not. When I was rowing just before, I was just panicking about what might be going through their minds with, not knowing. I just feel awful.
For Ben and James, their journey across the Atlantic is proving far tougher than they could have imagined. After the terrible shock of the capsize, they've resolved to focus on getting to the finish line fast. And they start to make real progress.
Got going incredibly well from the capsize. We got straight back on the horse and clocked out sort of between 80, 90 and 100 miles over the last few days.
The boys hope that the lowest point of the crossing is now well and truly behind them.
It started out and was, Ben and James' big adventure, but it did become a huge, enormous battle with the ocean.
After almost 2 months of such a punishing challenge, the physical nature of the race is taking its toll, particularly on James.
These last few days, there's been lots of bottom painage.
You get more bottom painage than...
But despite the excruciating pain, they're persevering against all the odds.
Been hit by yet another problem. Our water maker is on the blink, which means we have no water.
During the capsize, it got flooded and was badly damaged.
The water maker, I don't think, liked being capsized.
And now it's struggling to produce the 30 litres a day that they need to survive.
The bottom line was we knew nothing about how the water maker worked. We had a manual on board.
They are unaware just how far they have left to go, and more importantly, how much water they're going to need.
This whole kind of race is a constant weighing up of pros and cons. Do you stop for X, Y, and Z? If so, for how long? Do we lose our lead by doing so?
Each boat in the race carries an emergency water supply, but if they use this water, they incur time penalties. They've already had to use it once. Now this will be the second time.
Sounds very, very, very weak. I've tried to be as optimistic on this as much as I can, and just listen to it.
Resigned to the fact that the water maker is broken, they dip into their emergency supply.
got no option but to dip in. And if you dip in it, you may as well get your head round it, and you can't get the coolie on no water, and we'll die.
But there's only enough water for 5 days. In spite of all their hard work, because they've used their emergency water, their crossing will be judged to be slower. With the emergency water in short supply, Ben and James focus on getting to the finish line as fast as possible.
Our GPS wasn't working, we had a compass bearing, we just headed off on that and off we went.
Ben and James have overcome yet another hurdle together, but the constant mental and physical battles are starting to prove a real struggle.
There are so many different things that were worrying us, and yeah, it was tough.
No one will ever fully really understand what it's like rowing 2 hours on, 2 hours off for 50 days in enormous oceans, knowing you could be capsized at any moment, knowing the water maker could break at any moment. You know, it was like tenterhooks just waiting for something else to break, knowing it could. Every time you were doing well, something else would go wrong, and James is the only other person that will really understand what that was like.
They have little concept of their position in the race. Antigua and their loved ones still seem a long way off.
Well, it's been about 5 days since the capsize. Still don't have any water maker, anything like that to dip into the ballast. I am only just hanging in, just this much. I'm losing it, I'm losing my marbles. You know, I definitely began to lose it in terms of my mind. Probably about 3 days from the end was the worst time, and I did become officially loopy.
But their current situation is testing their sanity. They've been in total isolation since the capsize and only have themselves to fall back on. But just as it's getting as low as it can do, suddenly their temperamental VHF radio crackles back into life. It's another boat, and it's a very welcome sound.
Hi James, I'll give you our position if you've got a pen, and that way you'll know where we are, and I can keep you updated, because obviously the VHF range, if you keep going at the rate you've been going at, you'll be out of us within a day or so. Over.
We've slowed right up now, actually.
The radio has come into range with another boat competing in the race. The total lack of communication since the capsize has been one of the most trying parts of the journey.
0 north, 058 degrees.
And you'd pull your hair out and we'd fiddle with things, and then suddenly it would start working again, and you'd just feel complete elation.
Still unaware of what their families know, or more importantly don't know, they relay vital messages to their loved ones via the other boat. Early next morning, they receive the news they've been so desperate to hear.
The other thing he says is all families, partners and friends are well in Antigua, and all looking forward to seeing you on your arrival. Over.
Great. Thank you very much for that. It's so good to just be able to talk to someone. Anyway, to tell you the truth, not that James is very good company, but it's good just to know that there is an outside world and other people rowing. So thank you very, very much. Over.
We'll speak again soon. Atlantic 4 over and out.
This is Spirit of EDF Energy out.
This is just the lift they need to push on to the finish line. Since the capsize, the weather has been with them, and they've been enjoying glorious sunshine, which has been gradually drying out their electrics, including the intermittent GPS navigation system.
Now, I am going to show you something rather exciting. All right, move over to here. This is our little control panel. That is our GPS, which is up working again. That, is our speed. You can tell James is on because it's always over 3. And that is the distance to go. 45.7 miles. That is Antigua, and that little bit is our boat. Just look at how close it is.
With just 45 miles to Antigua, Ben and James are only 14 hours away from their families. But it's clear that the 2 months at sea have had a serious physical effect on James.
You could see the pain in his eyes, because when I was lying in the cabin, I could just see, and he'd wince with every one, and occasionally he'd just throw the oars down, and you could just hear the frustration.
Stupid idea was this.
And I suppose to see such a strong person go from that strength to the weakness that I could see was really worrying, yeah.
One of the safety courses we went on, they said, you're not a survivor until you're home. I was feeling pretty ill and had no energy, and then I think my body, which was probably just being held together by my mind, when my mind had said, oh, you're home, it just totally collapsed.
And I really see the veins starting to come up in my legs and things that never been there before. It's definitely starting to get skinny.
With only 6 hours to go, James rests his body whilst Ben rows to the finish line.
What we have to do is when we get 25 miles from the finish line, which is Cape Shirley Lighthouse, we give them a call on the VHF radio, and they will then send an Iridium phone message to the Antiguan Coast Guard and to a representative of Woodvale who'll come to check us in as such, stopwatch the finish line. The stopwatch has been going for a long time, and escort us into harbour, and that's into English Harbour, and that's where we'll see our families and girlfriends and wives, and I'm just dreaming of fresh. That's the one thing I'm really longing for: fresh, clean sheets and a bed to lie on.
You'd think what we've been hit by this trip, we've had all the storms, then got in the lead, and more storms, lost the lead, and the battery power went, then the water maker broke for the first time, then the GPS broke, then we capsized, and now the water maker's broken again.
Despite all these obstacles, as the sun sets on their final hours at sea, they are alive and well, just about in one piece, and heading for dry land.
It's amazing for like the last 7 weeks. Every time I've been on my night shifts, I've always rowed under a constellation of stars, which I think is supposed to be a frying pan. But from the way I look at it, it looks like a question mark. It really does, completely question mark. And last night was the first night it wasn't there. Isn't that amazing?
There's some lights behind us, and one of them's flashing, and that is the lighthouse we're heading for. That is Antigua's, what's it called?
Cape Shirley Lighthouse.
Shirley Lighthouse. And we're making steady progress, I'll say. One arm rowing with one broken seat. I look like I've been doing all the work that Ben's been doing. I'm just here for the glory run. And then Ben's going to take us over the finish line.
Friends and family gather on the quayside in Antigua, desperate for the first glimpse of their loved ones. They haven't seen them for 2 months.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I can't believe this moment's finally here.
I'm looking forward to seeing him now, but I'm just quite worried about what sort of stage things. Apparently his sores are quite infected. We might have to get him to hospital, so I just don't want him to be in any pain.
GMT, it's about 5 in the morning.
So midnight in the Caribbean.
And what are your thoughts? Elation, relief?
There will be relief on my bum when we get out of here.
They set out on an adventure together that would change their lives for good. One Olympian, one celebrity, and one boat embarked on a voyage of extreme endurance that would see them pull together in one of the most dangerous places. After 2 short months of preparation, they said goodbye to their loved ones and headed for the high seas and all that it could throw at them. They have been through the hell of incredible physical pain, the horrors of dehydration, and the high waters of life-threatening storms. But after 3,000 epic miles, they are nearly there and in one piece.
That is the finish line! We've done it! We have crossed the Atlantic!
Well done, buddy. Well done.
Oh!
Through the darkness of the morning of their 50th day, their friends and loved ones get the first glimpse of the 2 heroic adventurers. James Cracknell and Ben Fogle.
Well done.
Cheers for the guys. Hip hip.
They finally completed their incredible voyage, crossed the finish line in first place, and they're 2 days ahead of the next boat.
Look at you.
Is Daddy back? Clever boy.
That was hard, Dad. Don't let me do anything like that again, please.
We're not gonna let you do anything like that.
Thank you.
Good job, man.
That was amazing, amazing.
We saved each other's lives, basically, there. He was an amazing, you know, we were a team, and I think we both had our positive attributes to it. But James was, you know, he was a very strong force on that boat, and I have an enormous amount of respect for him.
What I found motivating was that he never, ever once didn't do a shift, didn't get up early to do his shift. At times I was the one who was late out of bed to get to the oars. He was never late. He was everything that I challenged him with, he rose to.
I wouldn't be here now in the time that we had done it in had it not been for James and his, his motivation is amazing.
But he pushed, but you see the state of him now, he's totally broken down. And when someone's, even if they're don't really want to race that much, he still did it. And I was motivated by him all the way through because of that.
It's difficult to explain what rowing the Atlantic feels like. It's, I suppose in the same breath, it was incredible and horrid, if that's possible.
People at the start who were kind of rowers that, you know, not that I knew particularly well, but you see around, you know, they were sort of saying, what are you doing? You know, he's not going to make it. He's not tough enough for something like this. I think they underestimate what's within him, and I saw it a couple of times in the build-up. He says, "Oh, I'm not an athlete. I'm not competitive." And I said to him, "You are. I've been around enough sports to know you've got a really good athletic basis there."
The biggest difference between us was the fact that he was racing it and I was just crossing it, and that, you know, that was hard.
For him, I hope that what's come out of it is that he'll back himself in other situations, because he performs. I've rowed the Olympics with people that are supposed to be really tough guys, and he's up there with them, definitely.
2 days later, Ben and James meet to reflect on their phenomenal achievement of rowing 3,000 miles across the Atlantic in a 24-foot boat.
So it's all over now, so what are your have you got any thoughts about what you've been through and what you're feeling now?
Well, we haven't sat on the boat for a couple of days. And
it's really weird sitting back here now as we left it that night with just loo paper still sticking out of the bag, sun cream on the deck. Look at this pot of Vaseline. Look.
Raisins that are rehydrated to the size of
our last
gallstones.
night's snack bag is here with the pink biscuit biltong that we never used to eat, and all the energy bars and the foam padding for our bottoms. It's really weird. It's slightly surreal, isn't it?
The thought of getting back in that cabin.
Wow. Oh, just unbelievable. And the cabin is just putrid. We just stuck our heads in. It stinks.
Smell it from here.
You've seen more of me in my emotions and my personality and my highs and my lows than anyone.
And the same with you. It's just totally exposed, because it just leaves you no option but to bear yourself physically and emotionally to everyone around you. It's an incredible experience in that respect. And you're right, in that respect, I wouldn't change it. And I would recommend that sort of level of soul searching that we had, but for that long and in these conditions, it's tough to say yes. I'd love to do that again. But
after having gone through what we have gone through, it's going to be very difficult to get me down about anything, or for me to feel I can't do anything. Because after you've rode the Atlantic, for goodness sake, you know, what is there you can't do?
The things that you think maybe you couldn't do before, that under real pressure you can do. So that's a really good thing. And also I learned about the human body, that it will keep going and keep going and keep going, and it's your mind that will let you down before your body. And as a sportsman, that's always a good thing to be reminded of. If you before the start, if you'd lined up all the things that had gone wrong, I'd thought there's no way we're going to get there. So I guess sitting back here now, you think even more impressed and proud that we sort of managed to carry on, and pride and pure stubbornness got us through, I think.
The Fogel Cracknell team did it.
I enjoyed every... oh no. Bits of it.
We've done it! We have crossed the Atlantic!
Good job, man.
That was amazing, amazing.